everybody, I'm Alyce-Kay Reckelhaus from Threshold of Hineni and the Widow Reckelhaus, and we're here to doodle. But first of all, I want to remind you on probably Monday, next week anyway, we will be starting our Jesus Storybook Bible stories, and we're just going to go straight through and start with the first story, and I'll tell you the story, I'll tell you where you can find it in the Bible, we'll talk about what that story means in your life and how it relates to other parts of the Bible. And we'll just go straight through. We're going to probably do about 2 weeks of this to begin with. And then after that, we'll use it every once in a while here and there as just kind of a break, you know, from whatever we're doing. But we will get through the whole thing. And I really would recommend that you get the coloring book in color, because using that side of your brain, the right side of your brain, is going to help. You know, we usually just get the left side of our brain when we study and everything like that, but using both sides of your brain is really going to help this to get into your heart. If you don't like to color or something, then, you know, I'd really recommend that you just like draw circles on a paper or something, and you can even color those in. They'll make a neat design. But just do something with your hands, maybe knit or crochet or something, and that's fine too. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm excited about it, and I've heard that some of you are really excited about it too. So that's great. And then after that, 2 weeks after we start that, so I guess that would be like the 20th or so of June, we're going to start doing the study guide for Now It Will Spring Forth. So you can get the novel for free if you are okay with ebooks, and the link for that is below. There's also a link if you want to buy the paperback. I can't give away the paperback, sorry. That would just cost me way too much. And then the study guide, if you want to get that, that is, I believe, $6.99. But if you don't want to get the study guide and you just want to write in your notebook, you can. I'm going to be reading out loud the questions and everything, so you can just do it that way if you want. But if you like to have a place to write, you know, that's all organized and everything, then you can do that. Oh, and also inside the study guide, there is a coupon for the next book in the series to get that free as an ebook also. So, okay, so that's enough for that. All right, so I'm going to do this all in one video again today too. It's supposed to get really hot. It already is really warm, and that slows me down a lot. So I want to be able to get some other things done today. So I thought that I'd go ahead and I wrote my prayer, and I did most of the flowers. I haven't colored them. I wanted to do like one of the flowers with you here so I can show you what I'm doing. I have a little hanging basket here, and I've got the flowers coming from that. One of them is climbing up the whatever you call it, the rope that's hanging the basket. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and draw one of the flowers here. All right, so I've got my stem coming out. I want to put a leaf here where the stem attaches to the vine. All right, and so I'm going to make a little calyx, which is kind of like two leaves that are across from each other. And then the center of the flower there, and then coming straight out from the calyx, another petal, and from this side of the calyx, another petal, and then a petal in between, and a petal in between. See how easy that was? I don't really even know what to call this. That almost looks like a lotus, but lotuses wouldn't grow on vines outside the water, so I don't know. You guys can decide what it is. All right, and since it's just like an imaginary flower, we can choose whatever colors you want. I think I'm going to do yellows and pinks and orange for this. And then for the leaves, I think I'll use this green and this green. Okay, so then we can put the rest of this back. Oh, and I need brown for the basket too. Okay. All right, so there we go. So I can put all these away. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read my prayer, and then I can talk about it while I'm coloring. So it was kind of weird because I was working on drawing this, and I was just going, okay, Lord, what should I empty myself of today? And I sensed him saying to empty myself of my needs, and I thought, how can I empty myself of my needs? I mean, those are things that I need, right? So how do I empty myself of that? But as I was praying about it, I realized the things that I think I need are not necessarily needs. And there might even be things that I need that I don't think I need. And so just putting that into God's hands and telling him, I'll be satisfied and content with whatever you give me, and I need your help to be content. And then also another thought came to me, that the things that he does give to me to meet my needs, to treasure those because they're from him, but to also hold them lightly because they're just mine for a time. He may bring along somebody else who, he's had me take care of that thing or that person to give it to them. For example, I hadn't thought of this until I just said that person. When Bill and I met, he said to me, this was like probably a month after we met, when we already knew that we were going to get married. And he said to me that he felt that Beth had, his late wife, had trained him for me. And I always had a sense that I was taking care of him for her. And when he died, he's with her now. And so I gave him back to her, not really willingly, but but yeah, I mean, it wasn't about her that it wasn't willingly. I wanted him. I didn't want to let go of him, but I didn't have any choice. And knowing that he's back with her really comforts me. And I feel like, okay, I took care of him for her. And now I feel like she's taking care of him for me. And I just kind of see that as how a lot of our treasures are, whether they're people or things or even ideas. I have ideas. I have 50 books that I want to write in this novel series, and I've only written 6 of them so far. I'm working on the 7th right now. And at the rate that I'm going, I'll have to live to be 100 and something to finish them all. I'm hoping to get to where I can do like 4 a year is what I really want to do. But that, and those are ideas that I believe are from God, but they may not be from me. They may not be things that I need to do. And so I'm working on getting all of them outlined so that if I die before I finish them, somebody else can take over writing them. So even our ideas are things that we should hold lightly. Our children, we love them and we feel that we need them because we love them so much. But we have to hold them lightly because God may take them from us, or he may, give them to somebody else, like a husband or a wife or something, or move them across the world to be missionaries. We don't know. And so we just have to hold all of those things and peoples and ideas lightly that he's given to us, but treasure them as gifts from him. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to color. Let's start with the basket here, the hanging basket. I'm doing that brown. I've got a bunch of the flowers hanging out of that. So what are some of the things that you think you need? And can you imagine yourself emptying yourself of those? Maybe that's not what God's calling you to do. Oh, I was going to read my prayer to you. So, empty myself of my needs. Lord, I give you my needs. I lay at your feet everything I think I need to have to survive, to thrive, to live a decent life, even all I think I need to be able to serve you. I mean, even what I think I need to be able to serve God, I need to give that to him too. I need to empty myself of that. I give you the exclusive right to decide what I need. Cleanse my mind, Holy Spirit, of the lust for the things of this world. Because, we can tell ourselves that we really need something because, gosh, we're so surrounded by, not just by things, but also by marketing telling us that we need something that's not really a need. But, we become very convinced. Satan wants to always do whatever he can to distract us from God and from what God wants us to do. And so a lot of times he will use things or even people to do that. And we always have to make sure that anything in our life doesn't supersede our love or our need for God. And that's a hard one, we have to ask God to help us to be content with that. I give you the exclusive right to decide what I need. Cleanse my mind, Holy Spirit, of the lust for the things of this world. I open my hands to you, Father, and give you everything. Every person, every idea I grasp so tightly. I give all of it, all of them, to you. Lord, I accept from you. Okay, so here's our giving to God and then our accepting from him. Lord, I accept from you what you know that I need. I treasure it as a precious gift from you, but I hold it lightly as your steward, caring for something you might want to give to someone else. Lord, I empty myself of my needs and I ask you for contentment. As I was writing this and I was saying, okay, Lord, I'm giving you all my needs, there was this fear that I kept feeling coming up inside of me that if I give God my needs, then I might not have everything that I need. What's going to happen? You know, and I realized he is so loving and he cares about me and he's not going to let me go without what I truly need. And so I can trust him and I need to trust him. I need to trust him that he knows what I need and that he loves me and that he'll take care of me. There have been a number of times in my life where I've needed something, like when I was in Minnesota at one point, I needed a place to live and didn't know how I was going to do that, didn't know how I could afford it or anything. And so I just kept praying, and I think I got this, I can't remember for sure, I think it was some preacher on the radio, but I can't remember who. And I would just pray, Lord, you know what I need, and you know how to get it to me. You know, because I trust him to know what I need more than I know. And I trust him to provide that. And oftentimes that results in him providing something that I would not have looked for. So for example, in the case when I said, you know, that I needed someplace to live. And I was driving around Lake Como up outside of St. Paul, or maybe even, I guess it's inside St. Paul. I was driving around there because that was where I really wanted to live, but I knew that I couldn't afford it. And I was just going, okay, Lord, you know what I need and you know how to give it to me. If you want me to live here like I want to live here, then you can work that out. I know you can. And if you want me to live someplace else, then you can work that out. Well, what he worked out was a friend of mine calling me and getting back in touch at that point, and his sister had a house to rent. This was 2 hours away from where I was looking, but my job was online, so I could live pretty much any place. And she had this cute little Victorian to rent, and she was to the point of getting kind of desperate because by then it was October, and she didn't want to have it empty for the winter. And so she gave it to me for $600 a month. This was in a little town that was less than 1,000 people and out in the middle of nowhere in Minnesota. Cute little Victorian, $600 a month. I mean, that was just because I was not sure how I was going to be able to afford anything at all. I mean, I was looking in the Twin Cities, I was looking at apartments that had, and I needed to be able to provide for two of my children too, my two teenagers at that point. These were like in bad neighborhoods and really small and old and kind of smelly and everything, and they were like $850 at the very least, and sometimes a lot more. And God provided us with a cute Victorian in a wonderful town, wonderful setting, and in a safe place and everything. It was just really neat. So, you know, God provides for us, and sometimes he knows what we need better than we know. And he usually provides better than what I'm looking for. And that's why, like, my life verse is Ephesians 3:20 and 21. To him who is able to do exceeding abundantly beyond all that you ask or even imagine, according to the power that works within us. Because he has done so much more than I ever imagined. Alexa, stop. She's reminding me to feed my dog. So I will do that as soon as I'm done here. I had brought her food out of the microwave, but it was too hot. Okay, so I think that's it. How's that? Oh, let's do these up here. Let's do pink, I think. So, and then I could just tell you stories for hours of ways that God's provided for me. But here's another fun thing. So my kids, my daughters, I sewed all their clothes because we just didn't really have many. And one time, you know how fast kids grow. And one time they all needed new clothes, and I didn't have any money to even buy fabric. And so I was praying about it and just going, well, Lord, you know our needs and you know how to get it to us. There's a knock at my door. It was a friend that I hadn't seen for quite a while. And she was there with bags and bags of fabric. She had been cleaning out her sewing closet, and she had all these bags of fabric. And some of them were just fabric, and some of them were patterns that were already cut out. And as it turned out, and to me, cutting out patterns is the worst part of sewing. I love to sew, but cutting out patterns, no thank you. And that so much to that extent that I taught myself to sew without patterns. But anyway, so at that point I was still using patterns. And the patterns were my kids' sizes and in their favorite colors. And the fabric was just perfect too. I mean, it was just amazing. That was one of the ways. Okay, so another way that God provided was one time, okay, since I sewed all our clothes, I didn't feel really comfortable sewing pants. So we wore dresses all the time, dresses and skirts. And they really, really wanted jeans. And I sewed some jeans for them, which actually turned out to be pretty good. They were really neat. And but then they were asking me if they could have some more jeans. And actually, this may have been before I sewed any jeans for them. And I said, we don't have the money for it. I don't mind if you have jeans. We just don't have the money for it. So you can pray and ask God to provide them for you. And so they prayed. And I got a phone call from this elderly lady who lived around the corner from us. And she said that her daughter had brought over a whole bunch of her granddaughter's jeans that she had outgrown. And she said, I never see your girls wearing pants. Is it okay for them to wear pants? Because I think some of these will fit them. And I said, sure. So my girls went running around the corner over to Marilyn's house. And they were in their sizes. They fit them perfectly. Some of them still had tags on them. It was just so perfect. And those are just a couple of examples of how God has provided. And like I said, I could spend the entire day just telling you about different ways that God's provided for me, for my family. And anyway, I would love to hear some ways that God's provided for you. Maybe you could even put those down in the comments below. All right, I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, bye-bye.